Hello, hello. I am sorry about the delay. I'm not sure who's here right now. We're going to kind of just talk a little bit and hopefully some people will join. I've kind of been a little bit inconsistent with the lives because I've been traveling, but I'm trying to make the lives Saturday morning for everybody. It's like 11:30 here. Um, the delay, sorry about it. I'm kind of waking up a little bit, drinking some caffeine. My son, I put my 2-year-old son to sleep and I wound up laying down with him. He took a little longer than usual and I fell asleep for about 20 minutes with him. So I apologize about the delay. Hopefully, if you're here, hit that like button. We'll get this out to more people. The way these usually go is, we'll kind of basically just have a conversation about the latest camera news, and I'll have a few main topics that I'll kind of, set up the stage with and I'll go over, and then I'll go back to the comment sections as it builds up and we can just kind of ask me anything you would like. But right now, I think hopefully people will actually show up. It's been a while since I've checked my audio a little bit. For some reason, my eCam is kind of a little jacked up as well. It was kind of all set up. I had it perfect, but I am not able to check my audio. So, anyways, we'll see. Hopefully, it is not blowed out, and hopefully, it's not too quiet. So, yeah, hopefully, you're here. If you are, hit that like button, get this out to more people, and we will have a conversation on our hands. I'm excited to go over some of the topics today. Um, the big topic I would say is about the Sony A6700 and some of the new, at least rumored features that it will have. And it's something that I kind of thought would happen, but at the same time, the way Sony's been segmenting their market, it was kind of hard to make any determination on whether or not they would actually go for it. So it's interesting if true. Of course, all this is you have to add a little bit of a grain of salt with things. Sony Alpha Rumors has been better when they release information. Usually, as of lately, it's been more accurate, unless they're like, this is a wild rumor. And sometimes the news cycle is slow, and you kind of get a wild rumor, you throw it up on your site, or you do a video about it, and you just kind of have to have a full disclaimer with that one. But that being said, they were fairly accurate about the ZV1 or ZVE1 or whatever it was, and then they were fairly accurate about the ZV1 Mark II. So recently, Sony Alpha Rumors, I cannot complain with their track record. I feel like they've been about as accurate as a rumor site can be. So that's all good news. Also, I will talk a little bit. It's kind of a slow news cycle. I do want to touch over Tony Northrup and Chelsea Northrup's video, kind of talking about uh, Sony's position in the market and where they think Sony may be pivoting towards like an Android based uh, camera. And I just kind of get people's thoughts on that, whether or not they think that's actually a good idea. Let me know if you're here. If you're here in the chat, let me know if hit that like button, get this out to more people. The way this works, and the best way that this works, is that if we can get an engaged conversation. If you can't conversate, just glad that you're here listening. But it's really good when we get a few people in here to actually have a conversation, get some feedback back and forth, because overall these are going to be fairly I wouldn't say disorganized, but apparently I like the casual way of doing this. I like to be able to communicate with everybody, and I kind of have a new direction somewhat that I'm going to be taking this channel. Something that I've kind of been trying to do for a while, but I feel like at this point it's almost more of a necessity for me to do this in the way that I want to do it. But I kind of want to wait till more people are in here before I talk about that. It's assuming people will show up because it's kind of a later live stream than I usually like to do, and I was a little late. And some people, hey, you're late, I'm out. Let me check the comments. I don't think any have came in yet, but if you are here, hit that like button. We'll get this out to more people. So far, no comments. We just got one like. It's all good. I am not disappointed because we were going to go over these topics either way. I'm going to clip out the important bits, or at least the topics, and I'll make those videos separately. Also, was going to get some people's input on what their ideas are with shorts. Do they like YouTube shorts or do they not? I tend to not be in love with the idea of YouTube shorts, but I feel like at this point, um, they at least need to be in the conversation for a channel. I just want my primary stuff to be, the longer form videos. That being said, my ideal thought process when building this channel, I would love to do, like a live stream once or twice a week at most, because I'm traveling a lot now creating the other channel. But I would love to sit down, do a live stream, talk about some of the main topics, clip out the main topics and release those throughout the week, and maybe have, record a few shorts as well. So kind of have more content on the channel, but maybe coming in at a different form. But I would like to get people's input on that. I respect the people who've watched this channel and have subscribed to this channel, and I really appreciate everybody for all your support. And I wouldn't want to do anything that's going to turn people off. I mean, of course, you kind of have to experiment and stuff like that, but overall, I would like to get somewhat of consent. I would like to get somewhat of a input on whether or not it's okay for me to experiment in that direction. But yeah, let's see. We do have 4 people right now watching. I appreciate you for watching. If you're here and you like it, hit that like button. It gets this out to more people, so that we can kind of have a more engaging conversation. If you're here and you want to chat, this is the place to do it. You can ask me anything. We're going to talk about the camera news and go over some stuff. So just kind of still letting people flood in because I was late getting this thing started. But yeah, if you're here, hit that like button, please. Get this out. Ooh, appreciate you getting like buttons. And if you can conversate. If you can't, you can't. Quickly, so while we're waiting on some comments to come through, sometimes we get lucky and I'm able to break some really current news. So what I'll do here is I'm going to screen share, and I'm going to go to all the major rumor sites, and I'm just going to refresh. And if I see something interesting, we'll go over that. The main topic today will be about the Sony A6700 and it kind of about AI in general. I'm not going to go super detailed about it, but it seems like AI is everywhere at this point, and I do think it is going to fundamentally change the camera industry. There is a weird camera in mirrorless rumors right now, which is kind of nuts. So I don't know if it's real. I kind of think it's real, but I kind of think it will be trash. So that will be something. But then we also have Adobe's new fill feature that everybody seems to be raving on about, and it does seem very interesting. Personally, I've been using Luminar for a while now. I kind of got rid of my Photoshop stuff. I use Final Cut for video editing, and I'm kind of transitioning over to DaVinci Resolve. But I'm not a fan of Premiere Pro. So yeah, or Premiere or whatever it's called. Yeah, Premiere Pro. So I kind of got rid of the Adobe suite a long time ago, and for the little bit of editing I do with photography, Luminar has kind of been a nice little way of getting something out fairly quick that looks decent. But my primary right now is with the video primarily. But I enjoy photography and I enjoy talking it. So if you're more a photography person, well, let's talk. All right, so we do have a comment. BC Taylor 46 says, "How do you feel about the Fujifilm X-T20?" Personally, I'm a little biased. My first mirrorless camera was a Fujifilm camera. It was the Fujifilm X-T20. So that was kind of, I think, basically they've gotten rid of the XT line in favor of the XS line at this point, or that seems to be the case. I haven't studied up on this camera probably enough. I did about 2 weeks traveling. We went to Hanoi, Vietnam. I'm currently living in Vietnam right now. But we went to Hanoi, Vietnam, Then we went to Ha Long Bay and Sepa, Vietnam. So we were gone close to 2 weeks. And I tried to keep up with the news cycle a bit, but I was a little bit behind. So I didn't get to fully dive into it. From the spec sheet alone, I thought it looked super impressive. I think it's 4K 6010 bit. That's always a big thing. Fuji has always been really good, even with like, for example, the XT20 and the XT30. They were always kind of like about 80 to 90% there, as far as like behind the XT3 and the XT4 for quite a bit cheaper. So it was always nice, and that's why I went with Fuji initially. Now I shoot Sony primarily in Canon a little bit. That being said, I do still like Fujifilm quite a bit. Um, I wonder how their autofocus is it improved over the other cameras as far as like the XT5 and the XH2S. Maybe you have some more information on that. Uh, Casey from Camera Conspiracies, I enjoy his stuff. He did have a valid point about the XT20 or XS20, sorry. And he did basically say, well, this is kind of like an XT3 in a lot of ways from back in 2019. But that being said, I mean, hopefully they've improved the autofocus. Hopefully they improved the stabilization a bit. And it's launching much cheaper. I think that it has that flip out screen, which maybe the XT3 did as well. I know the XT4 did. So yeah, I mean, I'm interested in it. I should have looked it up a little bit more, so I don't want to come across like I have super strong opinion on it. I definitely saw it. I heard pretty good reviews. In Camera Conspiracies, I enjoy him, but that's kind of part of his shtick, is to kind of like point out the bad in cameras, and it's completely okay. I mean, a lot of times he has very valid criticisms, but that's kind of his thing. So you gotta kind of take that and understand what kind of videos he is making. All right, let's see. Let me go ahead, be throwing out more comments. If you can, hit that like button. We'll get this out to more people. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll see if we get lucky. All right. So hopefully sharing my screen is working fully here. Oh, let me go over here. So this is comments. This is share screen. Okay, we're good. Okay, so we're here on Fuji Rumors. Fuji Rumors, the rise. Let me go ahead and refresh and see if we get lucky. New firmware beats new gear. New Fujifilm camera registered for September. X app is out. Top on YouTube and more. So this is kind of older stuff. I'm interested about this new gear. Fujifilm had a interesting comment that they did with an executive basically talking somewhat about a medium format camera that was kind of alluded to being more of like an action photography camera. So I will be interested to see how that plays out. Will it be, I really highly doubt it's going to be as fast as like an A1 or a Canon R3 or anything like that, because it is medium format and it's just hard to push that much information. But if it's fairly fast, like maybe think of like I don't know, an A91 is still pretty fast. But I mean, if you think about like a decent sports photography camera, maybe shoot 10 frames per second, or even up to 15 frames per second electronic, somewhere in that range, limited rolling shutter. I mean, that could be a pretty impressive camera. See what they throw in it. I think they've already been doing an experiment with 8K. It's been fairly slow, but if you could get 8K or 4K 120, that would be pretty nuts with a medium format camera. I'll be interested to see it come out, and I'll also be interested to see what the price point is, because I think Fujifilm is doing something extremely smart. They're kind of avoiding that full frame mirrorless battle that is going on between Sony and Canon, and now Nikon is being a major player, and Panasonic is starting to be more of a major player in that department with their recent autofocus. So they're kind of avoiding that. They stuck really good with APS-C. They've put in a lot of energy towards that. And On top of that, they are kind of going just medium format. They're bypassing that altogether. So it will be interesting. I think they're carving out some really cool places in the market. I think if they can get their stabilization down quite a bit better, I think if they can get their autofocus quite a bit down, quite a bit better, and get some lenses that are a little bit more video focused. I know at least with the X line, the APS-C line, a lot of their at least older lenses had really loud focus motors, were a little bit slower to focus. Good stills lenses are fine for stills, but not so much good for video. So those are some thoughts that I have about Fujifilm in general. I love their colors. I love just the feel of their cameras and the general look. So yeah. So the new firmware apparently autofocus boost. You know, let's hope that helps tremendously because it kind of needs it. Okay, let me go over here to Nikon rumors and we'll see if we get lucky on that. Nikon blocking international sale of used 18 to 55 lens on eBay. That sucks. I mean, I'm not going to read all of about it, but that's kind of suck. Generally speaking, I like aftermarket selling, or maybe no, sorry, excuse me. Maybe this could be something that people are kind of scalping. If that's the case, then I'm with it. If not, that sucks. Updated Nikon. I don't say that word because this word is too close to a word that I don't want to say. I don't want it to be a part of my vocabulary, and so I know that that's not the word, but I don't want to. I know that's not the word. I know it's not a bad word. I just afraid in my pronunciation that would sound like something I don't want to talk or say. So anyways, the Nikon Z mirrorless lenses roadmap as of May 31st, 2023. 4 more lenses expected this year. A 35S, a 70 to 180. That's interesting. Focal length. I wonder what that would be. Will this be a 2.8 or will it be a 4? I think a 2.8. I think at a 4 you would go 70 to 200. A 135S. I'm guessing this will be like a 1.8, kind of doing what Canon has done, and then 200 to 600. Let's see. I'm not seeing any f-stops here, but I'd be interested to know more. Let's see if I can learn more here. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Okay. So it is no, that's a 70. Where's this map filling out at? Okay, so the 135 is a 1.8 like I thought. The 35 is 1.2. That's pretty sick. And then the 70 to 180 is a 2.8. It's a non-S lens, so it should be cheaper, but it'll be smaller, but they don't really have that small of bodies. They have some of those rugged bodies. So to me, it's, it's like, it's okay. It's a 2.8. It's a 70 to 180. But I'm not really worried about the size so much. I would rather them have made it a 70 to 200 because they already have the 70 to 200 up here that's 2.8. So to me, this is a little bit redundant. Maybe it'll be cheaper. This one is an S line. So I mean, it's still interesting. I'll give it that. I won't dog on it too much because I don't know. Maybe other people know more about it. And this doesn't say a variable aperture, which is not surprising. All right. I'm going to go over here really quick to this. I'm going to go over to the pan. Like I said, if you're in the comments, be throwing in comments, be throwing in questions. If you're here just watching, hit that like button. This gets this out to more people. I would very much appreciate it. If you happen to be watching for like the first time or you've watched many times and you like the channel, consider subscribing. It really helps it out. It really helps me out. Gives me more motivation to keep these videos out on a more regular basis. I'm pretty much too addicted to YouTube to stop at this point. I'm not seeing anything on 4/3 rumors that I can see that's new. This is the camera that's weird. Maybe I should make this a main topic. Let me go back to the comment section. I'll do a little intro for this main topic about this AI generated camera. It looks almost like a joke, but I think it's real. I was like looking, I was like, is it April 1st? And I'm like, wait, it's in June. It looks like an April Fool's joke. All right, let's go back to the comment section, and then I'll probably make that a main topic. Okay, so BC Taylor 46 said it's the X Trans 4 sensor with an XT5 processor. Yeah, I mean, I think I heard slightly about that. I do wonder. So the XT Trans 4 sensor, is that? I'm guessing that's an XT4 sensor in general. Um, I mean, that was a really good sensor, and with that processor, you would think that they would be able to get quite a bit more out of it. I think the XT5 processor is the same processor that's in the XH2S and the XH2, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, it'll. I mean, I just have not seen enough on the reviews to give like a strong opinion, but I appreciate you throwing that in there and informing me more. I should maybe look it up a little bit more. To be real, like I said, I was traveling quite a bit, so certain cameras were kind of coming out, and I was able to cover the ones that I was able to cover. But that was one that I honestly didn't even see that much news about. And I thought, and I actually made a video about this, saying that this was going to be one of their more important cameras, because this, if they pull it off properly, it's a decently priced camera. Oh, beyond. I'm sorry, I fell asleep with my 2-year-old right before I get on. I do have some caffeine. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna make it ASMR, but hopefully it'll wake me up more. I'm sorry about that. I really am. Okay. Let's see how many people we got in here. I appreciate you, really adding and talking to the conversation. It really helps me out. So many people we got in here right now. It's so weird. My eCam system, I had it all set up perfect, and it's kind of being a little sketchy at this point. I'm not really happy about that. We do have 7 people watching, so that's more than I thought in a way. I mean, it's just because these things have been so inconsistent that it's a little hard to say. Okay. So we have a pretty crazy announcement. I think this is an announcement, not just a rumor, about a really odd AI based camera. And I'll kind of let you see it for yourself because it's hard to explain. This is coming to us via Mirrorless Rumors. So let me quickly share my screen and we'll just go over what we know about it. And I'd like to get your opinion about it. I don't know how I feel about it. I kind of think it's a little cheesy. I don't think we're there quite yet, but maybe it's an interesting, I don't know, maybe it's an interesting new thing to go forward with. I think it's maybe jumping the gun a bit, but maybe that's for us to decide, for the consumers to decide. Okay, so a totally crazy, this is the world's first camera without a lens that creates an AI generated image based on your location. So if you're listening to this and you're not able to be watching it, essentially looks like a kind of a weird boxy looking camera with 3 dials on the top and a shutter button. And it has this weird tentacle or antenna like lens thing. It says, created this stunning new invention, a camera without a lens that creates images using AI tech. This is how it works. Introducing the Paragraphica, a camera that takes photos using location data. It describes the place you're at and then converts it into an AI-generated photo. So more here, or try to take your photo here. So these are some of the pictures, and this is the location data paragraph. I'm guessing it's sent it to like something like OpenAI. Or not OpenAI, Midjourney or something like that, or Stable Open Diffusion or whatever it's called. So it says a midday photo taken at Clifford Strat, Amsterdam. The weather is partially cloudy and 18 degrees. The date is Wednesday, 24th May 2023. Nearby, there is a parking and yoga studio. So this is the picture. I mean, this is where he was currently located, and this is the picture that was generated. So, I mean, it is kind of cool, but it's just, I mean, it's cheating 100%. But I mean, what isn't these days? But okay. This is another one, a midday photo taken in taken in Die Noorderlek. Okay, I'm not going to be able to pronounce some of these countries and places. The weather is partially cloudy and 20 degrees. The date is Sunday, May 28th, 2023. Nearby, there is a beach and nature reserve. So this is the image that it came up with, which doesn't look anything like the field that he isn't standing in. So I doubt that that's what he was actually looking at, but I mean, it is pretty. Okay, an evening photo taken at Westerstraat, Amsterdam. The weather is clear sky and 14 degrees. The date is King's Day 2023 event. Nearby, there are restaurants, bars, and grocery stores. So this is what it spits out. I mean, it's just weird to me because one big thing, I understand that you, in general, as a photographer, and when I'm creating thumbnails, I'm creating more sensationalized versions of video or photos. To a degree, you're not 100% capturing the moment if you edit the way I am and the way that a lot of people do with like AI. So I edit a little bit with AI, so I'm not 100% capturing the moment. I'm not 100% I can't claim to be like true about a lot of things, but I'm giving people a general look at the area and I'm sprucing it up a bit. I mean, I'm even down with changing the sky because sometimes it's not necessarily that the sky looked the way it does in your camera. Sometimes it's based upon um, the dynamic range of your camera. So if for example, say I want my subject to be able to be exposed properly, then maybe the sky is blown out, and that's not necessarily how I saw the sky that day, and it's not an accurate representation of the location, but the sky is blown out, and it just doesn't look near as good. And so if that's the case, then I'm not opposed to changing a sky or something. But basically, you're going to this thing. It's an event that happened, but somewhere in the computer, they're taking probably other people's photographs that people took photographs of this event one day, and the weather is clear sky or whatever. They're giving this certain data, but the big thing is they're saying that this is event, King's Day event, nearby the restaurants, bars, and grocery store. So some people, or on social media, there's been multiple times, that people have taken photographs and the AI is basically, I wouldn't say stealing, but it's using that data to create it. But that's not the moment that you're living in. That's not necessarily what your eyes have seen. And so it just kind of creates a false memory completely. So I don't know. It could be the future. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting, but I'm just not 100% here for it. Okay, here, there's the last two. An afternoon photo taken at West Park. Yeah, I don't know. NW. I think this is all in like Europe. 102. The weather. 102. The weather is sunny and 22 degrees. The date is Sunday, May 21st, May 2023. Nearby, there's a park, lake, and city farm. So, I mean, that's cool. I mean, it looks cool, but again, it's not an accurate representation of things. Afternoon photo at this place. The weather is sunny, 17 degrees. The date is this. Nearby, this is some big stuff. Nearby, there is a tank station and hardware store. So that it would also be interesting to say, is this device right here, is this able to really see what's going on, or are you having to actually add some of the location or some of the stuff yourself? So I get that this is supposed to be, getting some metadata, but how are they knowing, for example, that I can see here, because this is a location thing. So if they're using GPS, which they're supposed to be restaurants, bars, and grocery store, well, they can kind of say, okay, this is what's in this area based upon Google or whatever. But like right here, it says park, lake, and city farm. I guess you could do that as well. But this is the big one: tank station and hardware store. Well, I guess everything they're talking about, they're not giving any details. So they're not giving any details about that's not geographical features or so okay, so I see kind of how it's doing it. But so it says you get the time of day, address, weather, temperature, date, event, points of interest, a blank photo taken at blank, the weather. So a, you know, time of day photo taken here, the weather's here, and it basically spits out the image generated. It's neat. I'll give it that. I don't think it's quite there yet. I don't think I like it very much, but maybe some people will. I think it's ugly too. It looks weird. I'd be like super sketched out if I was walking down the road and somebody's pointing that at me. I'd be like, you trying to read my brain, bro? Okay, but yeah, what are your thoughts on this particular camera? Let me know. Drop in the comment section below and let me know if you like this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. It's weird. It's interesting. I'm sure we can start a conversation about it. All right, so let me go back to the comments here and see what other people are talking about. Did I turn people off with this weird, this weird contraption here? Okay, BC Taylor 46. Man, I appreciate you being here talking to me. I'm a lonely person right now. While the technology is cool, it would take the fun out of photography for me. It's nothing like getting a shot in person. Yeah, I agree. I don't know where everything's going. I mean, I've generated some very interesting photography using AI. I've used it, like OpenAI. I think it's super cool. And you can, you can get some cool art out of it. I especially like it for thumbnails and stuff like that, for things that you kind of want to add additions to. For example, the thumbnail on this video, I was talking about AI, and so I thought, oh, it'd be interesting. Let me throw in like a futuristic motherboard behind me, and so I basically made that background. That photo, the background is AI generated. Granted, I could have used Canva. I have Canva. I used it to edit that. I could have found that on Canva, but I just thought, oh, it'll be unique, and I'll use AI to generate it. So I'm not opposed to AI generation, but I do think that photography as a whole and AI generated images are a separate thing. And this too could be its own point to a degree. Um, I I see a future where AI takes a lot of professional photography jobs. I think it's almost naive and a little nostalgic to wish that that won't happen, but you got to think from a perspective of a business and capital. And businesses want to make the most money. That's kind of their MO. And I would love for businesses to be more comprehensive and more holistic in their view of humanity in general. I would love to say, oh, this business, is not just thinking about making money. They truly are. And they don't want to just maximize profits. They want to maximize well-being of their employees, well-being of society. And of course, they want to make some money along the way. But most of the time, they have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders. And that's the way our society's set up. And, capitalism has given us a lot of great things. And I mean, I'm all for capitalism. So if you want to throw a super chat, I'm just kidding. But in general, I'm for capitalism. I just think that the nature of capitalism, I think, could be tweaked a little bit. And I don't know. It wouldn't even have to be changing capitalism. It could just literally be changing people's desire on what they consider as a win. So I don't want to get too political or anything, but the point I'm making with the AI situation is, if you're a business right now, and it might not necessarily be happening instantly, it might not be over the next year, but I definitely think over the next 2 to 4 to 5 years, you're going to get to a point where, say you're selling clothing or, jewelry or a perfume line or whatever the case is, and you normally would have a model wear your clothing or wear something chic, and they would be showing off their ring and their design or your makeup or whatever the case is. Everybody's seen it. They walk into a mall or see a billboard of a model. What happens in that scenario? Most of the time, you're shooting with like a medium format camera. So a photographer comes in with a very high end Hasselblad medium format camera that's stupid expensive and is super great. You get some great detail out of it. It has some cool depth of field. It's probably like a 100 megapixel image, because one of the things that they've been doing even more so is they can take a wider shot of a model, and they can, this has already been maximized in profits, but they can take a wider shot of a model. And so they take their normal shots, take a wider shot of a model with 100 megapixels. They can zoom in, and you got a hand model. You can zoom into the face. You got a makeup model. You can zoom into wherever else you're selling your clothing or shoe or whatever. They can basically take a wide, and they can divide that up and crop it. Some people don't love to crop. Businesses love to crop. Don't get, they don't get, okay. That being said, so you had your photographer with his expensive camera, who's probably a top of the line photographer. You had to set up a studio time. So either it's his lights and he charges for studio time, or there's maybe just a general location, but either way, you got to pay for studio time. You got to pay for expensive photographer, expensive studio time, and you had to pay for a model. You not only had to pay for a model, but you had to pay for a wardrobe and makeup crew, and it's probably going to be an all-day shoot. You're coming out of there at least 10 grand, I would assume. I mean, I don't know the definite numbers, but if you're like a high-end company, you're paying $10,000 for that day, I would assume. On top of that, then you're paying for the editor to come in and edit these different things and make it look proper, or, do slight retouching. If the makeup's on point, the lighting's on point, and the phone's on, or the camera's on point, you don't have to do that as much. But that being said, there is always retouching in modeling scenarios, or generally speaking, there is. So yeah, you're doing that type of stuff, and that's a lot of money for whatever you're selling. Now, you are a capitalist country, with the capitalist, maximize capital. That's what our system is, and that's the system we got. And it's good for some people, and good in general. It's helped out a lot of people. That being said, you're a company, so you have a fiduciary responsibility, especially your public, that you have a responsibility to your shareholders to maximize profits, to make money for them. So you can do all that, spend 10,000 plus, maybe way more. I might be super lowballing it, but you're spending $10,000. You take a lot of time, or you can have something like Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, whatever the case is, and you have somebody who kind of knows a little bit of what they're talking about. They know some of the lingo. They maybe studied art. They maybe studied photography. And all they have to do is put these prompts in. They can give you multiple models of multiple ethnicities. So you might want to, be focusing something in, and maybe you want an African American model, or you want an Asian model, or a Hispanic, or I don't know what is it, a Latinx, I don't know. But you want different ethnicities, Caucasian, you want different people. You can have all that within moments, wearing your clothing, wearing your rings, whatever the case is, and you can have an abundance of choice right there. How much money does that save? How much time does that save? How much more options does that give a company and a brand? So to think that will not fundamentally change the way we do photography, that's just naive. Or at least product photography. Now, that being said, that does not change the hobby of photography. That doesn't change that some people now, we can have a manufacturer create an amazing couch or amazing wood table. You can create that in a manufacturing situation. They can make it very perfect industrially speaking, but there is that group of people that want to handcraft. They want the story behind the item, behind what they're making. And so they will spend way extra money to buy a handcrafted table. Somebody made it by hand, and they can have the story of this was made by hand by this person. It took this long. They got it out of this type of wood, and they've crafted it out, and it's like a piece of art for them. So, two things with photography moving forward. With photography, you're going to have a certain group of people who want to know the provenance behind your photography. That means you better be really good, because you're going to be demanding a lot of money for that type of stuff, and you're going to be competing with AI. So you're going to get some groups of people who, like I said, companies, they're definitely going to maximize profits. But on the private sector, you're going to get higher end people wanting to buy prints and things like that. Of course, you still have event photography. You have, people aren't going to want to AI their wedding. I don't believe so, at least. So, you have certain things like that. I've done some work with dance companies. So they're doing like showcases. So basically, concerts, not concerts, but it's like a glorified recital. It's supposed to be a little bit higher end. It's more, like adults. It's a company dance. So that's a live event. I've shot the video for it, but people do photography for things like that as well. Those things aren't changing anytime soon. Uh, but then the other thing is, and this is the most important thing that I believe that we need to take into consideration. If you're a photographer or videographer who loves what you're doing, AI is not going to replace you walking outside and enjoying your experience, having moments that you're creating, that you're seeing for yourself, that you're representing, and having that memory and having the experience and just the tactile nature of you with a camera in nature or wherever you decide to take photos. None of that's going to change. But some of the commercial stuff is. So that's just kind of a general overlook of AI. Maybe give me your thoughts on this. Am I completely off base? Is there something I'm not thinking about? Do you fundamentally disagree? Do you agree? Let me know all that in the comments section below. All right, let me go back to the comments, because I'm thinking that might have sparked some conversations. Or not. Maybe I just lost people. No, we still got the people watching. So I think maybe we just got some listeners. So that's all good. But yeah, if you are here, what are your thoughts about this thing? If you're able to comment. This what I'm saying making sense? I think it does. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that, and I don't mean to be smug, but I'm pretty sure this is a direction it's going. I'm not saying I'm completely right. I'm sure there's things that I can't even imagine that will come out with AI. And it's hard to ever predict the way technology will go. So yeah, but I think that this, that's at least an application that I can see happening. All right, BC Taylor is here again. Appreciate you, bud. Doesn't currently AI source their information from user-generated content to create the image? Yes, it's happening. It's happened, but they're sourcing. Generally speaking, there's. It's not necessarily sourcing. Now they've had some stuff where, yeah, they did have the source to a degree, and there's some lawsuits going on. But basically, these models or whatever are being trained on photography in general, so they're just being fed photographs. They're being fed photographs from social media, from all over the internet, not just stock photography. So it's not necessarily that they're just spitting out an image that a stock photographer made, but they know the styles of different photographers. They know what's been selling well on stock images. They know what's considered a good photo, or they're being trained to know what's considered a good photo. And to be real, I think there's an issue when, you see literally like a watermark, because, they're still in somebody's somewhat style, and they'll actually add the watermark. But what's going on? So that's definitely been a problem. But you can't really change that progress, even though I know it sounds jacked up. But if you think about us humans, we all are modeling to a degree what we've seen before with our photography or in our videography. We have people that inspire us, and to a degree, we try to mimic them in their style. And of course, just by the very nature of being a human, uh, you know, either we can't replicate what they did perfectly because, maybe our talent level isn't there, but in those mistakes, we hone our craft. And a lot of times we create a bit of our own style, but nobody is 100% themselves. They're not completely accurate, or they're not completely self-sustained. We're not like everybody that's coming in isn't taking super unique photos. They're just not. I would basically say that I bet 80% of all of the people right now who are taking photography, or 80% of everybody's image, is still based upon what they've seen from other people. If you're a nature photographer, how many nature photographer pictures of like bird photography where you see the eagle coming down and you're grabbing the fish and it's coming off and it's kind of somewhat in the rule of thirds, you kind of have the eagle's face and it's coming down. I mean, I've seen that picture dozens of times. It's a beautiful picture. It's cool that people capture that moment, and multiple people have captured that moment. But that's a moment that people have seen and they try to replicate. And of course, it's something that happens in nature. So, I mean, it is what it is. But the way they lined up the composition and got that angle, a lot of people aren't necessarily reinventing the wheel with photography. And AI isn't reinventing the wheel. So yeah, I mean, it could get stale over time, but I just can't blame an AI for doing something that we do. And I can't blame a company for maximizing their profits. I don't like that that's the only incentive. I would love for them to say, hey man, we're making still good money. Let's employ that model. Let's employ these people who worked on their craft. Let's do that. But it's hard to say that they're wrong for saying, oh, what used to cost me 10,000, I can get more out of what I'm doing for $5,000. Or sorry, not $5,000, 500, maybe less. So yeah, that's just part of technology. And, there's always been a progression of like when people first moved away from film to digital, people said that's not real photography. People started using Photoshop. People said, oh, that's not real. That's not, not a real thing. And so, it's just progressed and progressed and progressed. But the sad thing is right now, it's progressed so much to the point and becoming so automated that even what we would used to consider creative jobs and opportunities is now being automated away. And kind of ironically enough, some of the more manual labor things that people used to think of as being like the more expendable jobs, or the ones that would be replaced by automation first, are now kind of like the more longer lasting one, because it's hard, to get a robot to screw in a screw, and to build that robot to become a plumber, for example, is just not necessarily practical. It's more practical to have a plumber come in who knows his art and knows his skill, and has learned and does that. Whereas a photographer, you used to think that wasn't going away anytime soon. And I'm not saying it's going away, but it's definitely evolving. So yeah. I don't know if that unsettles you. It sometimes unsettles me, but sometimes you just kind of, what's that? The saying, I think it's actually in the Bible. But there's some wisdoms everywhere. I'm not particularly religious all the time, but yeah, I used to be at different times. But there's wisdom here in the saying of, I'm going to butcher it, but the idea is to basically say, help me, help me know what I can change and what I can't, and basically accepting the things that you can't change, and having the discernment to know of the things that you can change and like the impacts that you can make. And right now, as an individual, I don't see how we can do anything to stop this from happening. So we can either somewhat adapt or just have acceptance of our industry is changing, and maybe you can change along with it in some form or fashion. Maybe you don't want to change. Maybe you don't really make money from your photography, or maybe you're just stuck in your ways, and maybe you'll keep going and having success. I wish the best for everybody in this situation. I don't want anybody to feel pain, but technology changes that sometimes. Man, I've kind of went off topic. I went off topic quite a bit. Okay. So do we want to go ahead and jump into our main topic? If you're here, hit that like button, comment. I appreciate BC Taylor. You're really carrying the other side of the conversation. Sorry for the tangent, but I did want to talk about AI. That was a main topic that I wanted to go over. So yeah. All right, I'm going to jump into the main topic of the day, which is the A6700. So today we have a bit more information coming about the Sony A6700, which is the long-awaited follow-up to the A6600. So this will be a Sony APS-C camera. We've heard a little bit about it in the past. I will go over some of the specs that we've at least have been rumored and I would assume are fairly accurate. And I will go over the latest information that we have about it. All right, this is coming to us via Sony Alpha Rumors. Let me find it here. Well, I thought it was coming to us via Sony Alpha Rumors. Here we are. Rumor Sony A6700 has new menu, same touchscreen and AI features as the new ZV-1 Mark II. Will also have the A7C style body. Will it? Now that's a question. The reason that is, and I'll talk about that a little bit quickly, because just a quick one point that the rumored size of the A6700 matches the dimensions of the A7C. Taller, 4 millimeters taller, 3 millimeters deeper, not including grip protrusions. That's the exact same size of the A7C, which I think the A7C is a pretty camera. And I think that would work for a 6700 because they're already fairly similar. They have a similar viewfinder off to the side, or I guess it's a rangefinder, I think they call it. So right here, they also say the sensor of the A6700 does not have DRAM. I'm not 100% sure I know what that means. I feel like I should know what that means. I know DRAM in a computer is something, but I didn't know that about the sensor situation. So maybe it's something different. Maybe I'm thinking of something different. But this is kind of the main thing I want to go over. So it will have the same AI features as the ZV-1 Mark II. This is a question that I had because I wasn't sure that they would go that route because the ZV-1 Mark II is, the Z stands for like Gen Z. The V's probably for vloggers. I don't know. But the idea is that these are simple cameras to use. They're a little bit more user friendly in the way of, kind of just streamlining the process. So far, even though I would like to see the Alpha line at least get some of these same features, but so far they've kind of segmented them out very much so. You have the ZV-1 line and you have the FX line and you have the Alpha line, and the Alpha line has kind of been getting like pushed to the side, I would say. So I wasn't sure if they were going to go the route of giving this Alpha camera the more, I would say, a professional. This is their, what I would call, and what I think most people would call their flagship APS-C camera. So I wasn't sure if they were going to add the AI features as the new ZV-1. I do wonder how many of the AI features of the ZV-1, because there's some gimmicky ones, I will say, like the different way that they do the LUTs and they add the bars and they have the vlog mode. I mean, it's a little cheap to be real. So I don't think that that's a super cool feature. I mean, I guess to have it or have it, that's fine. Or, have it, not have it. It's not a big deal. But I mean, as far as the autofocusing goes, I think that's great. The product of focus, I think that's a good thing. Even the follow focus is interesting. I wouldn't use it very much. I think it could be refined, but I think that's cool. So, I mean, it is definitely a good thing to have the AI features. I'd rather have them than not. The new menu system is very frustrating that the A7S3 and the A1 Mark or the A1 never got any kind of update on the menu, because it seems like everybody's getting that new, more streamlined menu, something that could easily be put in to the A7S3 or the A1, but they just abandoned those cameras. So I will go over quickly. Let me see if I can find. I would like to. Usually they just link it over, but I think I can kind of basically remember. Essentially, this will have the same sensor as the FX30, so it will have that 26 megapixel sensor. They said it would have a slew of AI features. They talked about the body. They talk about right here that maybe it's going to be being announced with a new 70-600G lens, and it's going to be announced on July 12th. So it'll be interesting to see if this is true and what this is all about. I think a lot of people have been waiting for this camera for a long time. I hope that Sony doesn't mess it up. I hope that Sony is dedicated, because one thing that's good about Sony is they have the lenses right there ready to go. They have that third party participation. Tamron has some great APS-C lenses that are very modern at this point. So I, for a long time, I was kind of in the camp of, who cares about APS-C? You got full frame. That's the future. That being said, my mind is evolved over talking to people. My opinion has evolved because people want that extra megapixel range in the crop mode. They want a smaller rig, especially when you're getting something like a 70-200, which would be you basically add whatever the crop factor is. I can't remember. But you would add the crop in, because everybody's slightly different. Canon has a slightly different APS-C crop, Fujifilm as well as Sony. But basically, you're cropping in to that lens, so that 70-200 is probably something along the lines of like a 105 to 280, I would think, and it's a much smaller rig. So yeah, I think it's an interesting development. I hope Sony does well with it. I know a lot of people want this to be a good thing. I think a lot of people were hoping it would be more like a mini A1 or a mini A9 Mark II. I don't think that is exactly happening. I think it is going to be essentially a follow-up to the A6600. And the fact that they're putting these AI features in, I just don't think it's going to be quite the camera that many people were hoping for. I hope that I'm wrong. I think it will still be great for some people, but I just don't know if it's going to be quite that real flagship APS-C camera. I think if you want a really flagship APS-C camera, maybe Fujifilm might be your best bet, even though their lenses and autofocus is lacking a bit. But yeah, those are kind of the updates. I don't want to just ramble on about the A6700. I think it's going to be an interesting camera. I'm interested to see what it's about. I personally have no thought process that I would get one, just because, I have the tools that I need at this point, but I know a lot of people are looking forward to it. And I enjoy when people get the camera that they want. And I enjoy when there's good competition out there. I would like Sony to be pushing Fujifilm further and pushing Canon further with their R7 Mark II or whatever it would be. I would love to see just competition in the industry, and I hope that Sony delivers here. But yeah, drop in the comment section below and give me your thoughts on this camera. Is this going to be something for you? Are you excited about the A6700? Are you slightly worried about the AI features, or are you glad that it's going to be getting these AI features? Let me know all that in the comment section below. All right, let me go back to the comments. Uh, okay. So again, BC Taylor, appreciate you. So I do want to quickly say, I think people understand the way I'm doing that. I kind of have to do like a slight outro and intro to the main topics. I haven't always done this, but I need to be doing this. I need to be clipping out the live stream and posting it throughout the week. It would just generate quite a bit more. And to be real, this is what I enjoy doing. I enjoy doing a live stream and talking, but at the same time, they don't do very well as far as growing a channel goes unless you clip it out. So I would love to be able to do this, but I need to be able to kind of have another foot in the door. So I need to be able to clip these out throughout the week, maybe throw some shorts in the mix. And I think that's going to be kind of at least the semi direction that I'm going forward with the channel right now. See if it works. Um, and I'm creating a travel channel, so that's taken like a lot of time and a lot of my like creative edits, which I like because it's helping me sharpen my skills, not just doing talking head type stuff. I'm like literally out there, trying to get the best shots and the best stuff. And I'm learning a lot about my editing and really sharpening my tools. And I hope that I'll be able to take that experience and come over and teach those who need teaching. But yeah, I'm still learning. Everybody's always evolving and learning. Okay, so BC Taylor says, if it gets the auto framing, I'll be happy. So yeah, I think that is an interesting feature. I think it's really good. I thought it kind of was a little. I didn't think it quite worked perfectly, but I think it was close to being there. I'm sorry, it's 12:30 in Vietnam, so I'm sorry I'm yawning. It's not because of the lack of interest in the conversation. It's just 12:30 at night. Uh, so so yeah, I think that is a cool feature. I do wish that they refine it a little bit because sometimes it was a little bit jerky at times. So I don't know if I was gonna do that shot. I think it's cool, but I would just do it in editing. Like, well, I don't have that feature in my camera, but I would just shoot a little wider and do keyframes. You can do fairly easy keyframing to do that. Of course, it's more time, but it would look more professional in my mind. Still a cool feature to have, and it depending on the type of video that you're doing and the type of time that you have with turnover, because just because somebody like myself would like to do it with keyframing in the editing process, some people aren't huge on editing. Some people have a fast turnover time and they need to get their video out there, and or whatever the case is, and they don't care. They say, okay, it's a little has its flaws, but it's going to get better, and let me do it. I agree 100% that I like that they're doing the auto framing. I'm happy that you're happy. I just hope that the auto framing gets better over time, and I'm sure it will. All right. Let's see. We do have quite a few people watching, and I appreciate everybody being there. I'm gonna kind of take the time here. I think I've been going a little bit more than an hour. It's 12:40 at night, or well, super early in the morning, however you want to look at it. Um, so I am probably gonna call it tonight. If you have any comments, I'll stick around for a few seconds here longer just to see if any comments happen to flow through. I appreciate you, BC Taylor, for being able to help have a dialogue back and forth. And I appreciate anybody who just was sitting here watching and hit that like button. I very much appreciate everybody coming out. If you happen to be here and you haven't subscribed to the channel, it's very much appreciated that you would subscribe. I need some growth on this channel, to be real, in order to attract sponsors and things like that, because I would like to be able to make this like a full-time thing, but it's just not feasible at this moment. I will, if you're watching this on the playback, or whatever, if you ever see any of my videos, maybe check out some of my affiliate links. It helps out the channel, and it doesn't cost you anything just to go to the affiliate link. And if you're going to buy something anyways, buy it through my account. I have Amazon set up right now. I wanted to get B&H, but they kind of, I think, wanted you to have additional social media presence or your own dedicated website, and I don't. I'm going to reapply though, because my channel's gotten bigger, so hopefully they will allow it. There's also going to be another company that I've just heard about that does really good with affiliates. Anyways, that's besides the point. If you don't like Amazon for cameras, just click on my link, go buy whatever you're going to buy, household things or whatever, and I'll get a little kickback, and it helps out the channel. And it definitely takes you a little bit more time just to find one of my videos and click the links, but it's appreciated. Anything you can do to help, very much appreciated. But more than anything, your presence here helps. You watching the video helps. Your encouragement helps. Your engagement helps. Your likes, your subscriptions, all that type of stuff is very encouraging, whether or not I get $1 from it. So anyways, thank you all for being here. I'm immensely grateful that anybody would like to take their hour to spend with me here. And it's just, it's kind of mind blowing, the fact that I have as many subscribers as I do, so of course always want more, but that's just part of the game. I'm excited for the future and everything. I'm starting to ramble, super tired. 12:42. I'm going to go now. Until next time. Peace.